Hi, hello, good day again. So my name is JD and I will be your teacher for Science, Technology, and Society. So we are still at chapter 2, um, that is intellectual and scientific revolution. So we're already done discussing the people, specific people behind the scientific revolution, the Copernican intellectual revolution, Darwinian and Freudian intellectual revolution. We are also done discussing two societal intellectual revolutions and their contributions, the African intellectual civilization and the Mesoamerican intellectual civilization. So now we're going to talk about one of the richest intellectual society that has contributed a lot in science and technology until today, and that is the Middle East intellectual revolution. If it goes easy, something is wrong. So I have here a clip of, I think this is a trailer of Prince of Persia in 2009, a movie in 2009. It's a sci-fi, it's a fantasy movie, but it also shows somehow culture and depicts tradition and practices of the Middle East turn ancient civilizations. Please watch.
Have you wondered how you could have found such a treasure? The gods have a plan for you, a destiny.
I've seen its power with my own eyes. Releasing the sand turns back time. Only the holder of the dagger is aware of what's happened. How did you do that?
Only the dagger can unlock the sands of time, and there are those who would use this power to destroy the world.
Time will erase everything.
The only way to stop this Armageddon is for us to take the dagger to the secret guardian temple. We must take it there. Understand?
You really enjoy telling me what to do, don't you?
Only because you're so good at following orders.
Don't press your luck. The senses. They strike terror into the heart of all they cross.
Such a noble prince. Leaping to assist the fallen beauty.
Who said you were a beauty?
There must be a reason why you can't take your eyes off me.
You're... I did!
The High Temple is guarded by some sort of demon. Justin, where's the dagger?
You're welcome to search me for it. You'll have to be very thorough. It's time. We have to get out of here.
So that is Prince of Persia trailer. That's a movie in 2009 that I think and I hope you can watch it. Yes, punong-puno siya ng action. I'm really sorry kung may mga ayaw ng ganung scenes. But my intention is to show that the Middle East civilization or the Persian civilization or the Arab civilization is actually a very, very rich culture. Not just when it comes physical gold or any material wealth. Na hanggang ngayon, di ba? We know that the caliphs are actually really rich in the Middle Eastern civilization until today, but they're also really, really rich in knowledge because they value knowledge a lot. Okay. So we'll jump right into discussing the Middle East intellectual revolution. Um, if it goes easy, something is wrong. So you'll definitely find out bakit ganun. If it goes easy, something is wrong. Kasi sa kanila po nanggaling ang pinaka-enjoy natin na subject. Okay? So Middle East civilization has a very rich culture and tradition. They also have enormous contribution to science and technology, which we will be discussing. So in the ancient times, no, they have Islamicate scholars. So these Islamicate scholars are people influenced by their faith, of course, the Islamic civilization, regardless of their religious beliefs or views. So they gave us mathematical term like algebra, azimuth, algorithms, and many more. The reason why I place if it goes easy, something is wrong. 'Di ba in mathematics, kapag parang sobrang dali nito, if you remember our discussion with Descartes, self-doubting, no, systematic self-doubting, parang may mali, gano'n. 'Di ba? So sa kanila nang galing kasi mga terms na to, especially, madaming nanggaling sa Middle East civilization like algebra, alcohol, azimuth, algorithms, and many more. So their culture flourished, really, really flourished a lot. And mas naglumago ito during the time of Abbasid Caliphate. So Abbasid Caliphate was around 750 to 1000 to 750 to 1517 AD. This is already AD. So, where it served as a crossroad of trading zones for Persia, India, Byzantine cultures, and various religions, many languages flourished in this civilization. So, the Middle East civilization really became a very, very rich culture because they really valued knowledge and also valued a lot of things along the way. So, blended culture by civilization and various belief systems made early Islamic science very inclusive. So, they are the first civilization, one of the first civilization to have actually opened their culture to the world. They all opened their culture, they opened their religion, they opened their science and technology to the world because they are very inclusive. Unlike for other civilizations na kapag kami nakagawa nito, amin lang to, amin lang to. Instead, they shared their knowledge. They have a very, very high literacy rate. Until today, they actually have a very high literacy rate. Furthermore, they have adherent to treat others equally. So Baghdad, the first capital of Abbasid, was found by Caliphate al-Mansur during the in 754 AD and became the largest urban area in 930 AD because they have expanded their territory very, very well. Kasi nga, kagaya na nasabi kanina, it became a melting pot of different cultures because they actually opened their culture to different civilizations. They opened their trading system to different civilizations, unlike other civilizations that they really wanted their knowledge to be themselves alone. Sila, they shared it. Okay, so the very famous contribution of the caliphates of the Middle East was the House of Wisdom. The House of Wisdom, or the Al-Hikmah, Bait al-Hikmah, or the House of Wisdom. This is a great library of collections by Caliphate al-Mansur, which was opened up visiting scholars, even the delegations of other states like India. They opened this to other cultures, like even the Greeks, they opened this, the Romans, they opened this, the India, they even opened this, the House of Wisdom. The House of Wisdom is actually part of is actually a house or a library. It's a very big library. It's known to be the biggest library ever because they stored a lot of knowledge, 'di ba? They stored a lot of knowledge, kaya House of Wisdom inscribed. Okay? And followed by Caliphate al-Mansur was Caliphate al-Rashid. Al-Rashid was the proponent or the one who started, who carried on the tradition of opening the knowledge to other people or other civilizations, and also supported the translation movement. So ano nga ba yung translation movement? This is when they send, dito ba? Okay. This is when they send different scholars all over the world that they are aware of, yung mga civilizations na meron sila, okay? Carried on this translation movement. Uh, ang gagawin nila, kukuha sila ng knowledge doon sa Greeks, doon sa mga Romans, doon sa mga Indians, sa ancient China. Kukuha sila ng knowledge doon and then they will translate it. They will transcribe. They are called scholars or translators during the translation movement because they have to translate any valuable knowledge uh, into their words. No? So it's actually very helpful kasi it opened a lot of opportunity to their fellow citizens of the Middle East. So in 832 AD, Caliphate Al-Mamun refounded the House of Wisdom and became an international center for translation and research, which eventually became the largest library in the world by 850. So the House of Wisdom or the Bait Al-Hikmah became the largest library all over the world at around 850. They sponsor scholar translators as still part of the translation movement to bring useful texts. As I have mentioned, yung mga valuable knowledge na based on different philosophical perspectives like the Greeks, Chinese, Sanskrit, Persian, Syriac, and translated it into Arabic. So they gathered a lot of knowledge and then they translated it because they value a lot on knowledge. So Caliphate Al-Mamun invested his powers in Greeks and Persian translations because he found it a sign of civic status, a worthy cause, and a highly practical calling. So why would you engage to war? Why would you wage for war when you can actually help, collaborate with these people? Sign of civic status because you want to understand kasi gusto niyang unawain kung paano nga ba yung pamumuhay ng mga tao sa Persia at saka sa Greek. They also tried to understand the situation, their philosophies. It's a worthy cause for the sake of peace. And of course, highly practical calling kasi baka mamaya may mga effective knowledge sila na pwede mong i-contextualize sa lugar ninyo. So that's why Caliphate Al-Mamun invested his power on the translation movement as well. So, anong naging ambag nito sa kanila? What is it for them? Actually, 'di ba, they are a Muslim country and a Muslim civilization. This actually helped them understand further astronomical understanding. So mas naintindihan nila yung movements ng heavenly bodies and allowed them also to observe their timekeeping. 'Di ba? Uh, they have time for prayer every time, and they also have to make a proper timekeeping for that. And because of valuable knowledge on astronomy na natutunan din nila sa mga ibang civilization, nagamit nila ito to observe it properly, to observe their prayer more properly, at alam nila kung saan, based on geographic understanding, alam din nila kung saan a-align sa prayer nila na nakaharap sa Mecca. So this is because they opened their civilization to knowledge contributions by other civilizations. Kaya mahalaga po talaga, di ba nga sabi nila, uh, uh, ngayon, hindi na uso ang competition, uso ang collaboration, no? Pakikipagtulungan. Pero dati pa lang, ang Middle East civilization, they're already practicing collaboration with other civilizations. And that's actually very, very good that we can see to them, no? Okay, because of the fluid trade of knowledge and collection, many Baghdad scholars, translators were influenced by the works of Aristotle, like Ibn Rashid. So, si Aristotle, no, we already discussed about his works during the natural philosophy discussion, and we saw his contributions. And naka-impluwensya siya sa isa sa mga kilalang philosophers during sa Middle East, si Ibn Rashid. Ang tawag nga sa kanya ay the commentator. The commentator kasi number one fan siya ni Aristotle. So, meron din silang school. There were also schools of Mutazila. Their principles believe on rationalism could be used in order to understand both physical world and spiritual world. Does it sound familiar? Yes, it sounds familiar because it's like the house, it's like the uh, school of wisdom of the Greeks, or the, sabihin natin yung kay Aristotle, yung Lyceum niya, where they reason with their students. But, hindi lang ito driven by reasoning. Anong kinakaibahan niya? It was also driven by spiritual world. Because of course, the Middle East civilization values their faith. They incorporated knowledge with their belief, okay, with their faith. They brought Greek Aristotelian reason based on debate about nature and cosmos into Islamic social context. So they contextualize it into Islamic context, okay? So it's something that we could also reflect on, that wala namang masama that we learn from other culture, we learn from other traditions, diba? It's actually really good because it opens a wide variety of pool. No, it opens another set of waters, another waters. And it's nice. But the good thing about what Ibn Rashid did was, or the ancient Middle Eastern civilization, kinontextualize nila ito sa uh, sa situation nila o sa pinagdadaanan nila, which actually became very effective to them. So they established a lot of infrastructures as house of knowledge. 'Di ba meron na silang house of wisdom, uh, the library, the largest library. They also have their own observatories kung saan they observe the stars and the skies. They also have their own hospitals. They also have their more public libraries. And they also have madrasas. The madrasas is an Islamic college. Di ba? It's something that you actually see, no? That is very, very good in their culture and their tradition. They have a very rich pool of culture and religion with accumulated knowledge. In madrasas, they can study law, Greek, natural philosophy, logic, arithmetic, astronomy, and astrology during that time. So, their colleges, their Islamic college, is not exclusively related only to their faith, but in all fields of knowledge like math, like science, and use it to strengthen their faith. Somehow related to what Galileo Galilei and other scientists has mentioned during our discussion on the scientists, na their faith and their science and their observation sync. Ibig sabihin, they go together and they use their faith, and they use their science to strengthen one another. Okay? Kagaya na nabanggit ko kanina, kung mas inaral nila yung time, di ba nga yung mga, let's say, they studied time, they studied the sky, which they got from the Egyptian maybe, or the African civilization, and they patterned it with their faith. Di ba? Kaya mas nasusunod nila yung time of prayer nila. Okay? So that's how amazing the Middle East civilization is. So number of ancient philosophers, astronomers, and polymaths also came from Persia. These are the people who actually have contributed also on heliocentrism. You have Abu Mashar, Al-Razi, and Al-Ribuni. They proposed a heliocentric view. Okay? Their theories were against Aristotle but with observed data. So up in our discussion in Copernican intellectual revolution, many people tried to reintroduce like Aristarchus, reintroduce it. But then again, it's not accepted. It's not socially acceptable during that time. Nicole Deorem. Nicole Deorem tried to introduce, but it's not accepted by the church. But Abu Mashar al-Razi and al-Ribuni introduced heliocentrism, but it was not entirely rejected by the church. Okay? Al-Mamun also created a team attempted to measure the circumference of the Earth using astronomical observation. Si Al-Mamun, si Caliphate Al-Mamun, gumawa siya ng team ng mga astronomers, ng mga polymaths, mga mathematician para alamin kung ano nga ba ang circumference ng planet Earth, ng ating planeta. And they found 24,480 miles only basing on their astronomical observations. Yun lang pinagbasihan nila. Ngayon, based on our current data, the circumference of the Earth is 24,901, which is less than 2% of the accurate than the one made by Alma Moon's team. It's not bad. It's actually good. Kasi, yes, 2% is acceptable. Plus minus 2% is actually acceptable when it comes to data. And biruin mo during that time, 850 AD, and then 20th century, makuha mo yung almost the same value using different method is actually very amazing. Diba? Ang galing. 24,480 nakuha nilang date, nakuha nilang datos during that time. Tapos 24,901 sa datos natin ngayon. It's not that bad. Diba? It proves that their mathematics really works during that time. In 820 AD, Al-Khwarizmi wrote wrote Kitab Al-Jabr, or the compendious book on calculations. Algebra. Okay? So they created this concept, or kaya nga nilagay ko, if it goes easy, something is wrong. Because in mathematics, if you really find it really, really easy, you're quite doing it wrong. So by completion and balancing the original manual of practical mathematics, he introduced rational, irrational numbers, and different forms of numeric systems and calculations. Sa kanila din nanggaling ang astrolabes. Ano nga ba yung astrolabes? Actually, astrolabes, ito, lumang-luma na to. Meron silang mas updated na astrolabes. During that time pa rin, yung pabilog. No, yung astrolabes kasi meron siyang kailangan mo ng understanding ng algebra, trigonometry, tsaka numeric related systems para maintindihan kung paano siya basahin. Kahit ako, di ako marunong magbasa ng astrolabes. Kailangan meron kang knowledge ng techne tsaka episteme sa paggamit ng astrolabes. Saan mga ba ginagamit ang astrolabes? Ginagamit ito sa navigation. For example, pag nasa dagat ka, nasan ka, location mo, ganun. It actually helps. So, yeah. So, Abbasid state focused also on improving the application of art such as hydraulic engineering, meron sila, and agricultural science, meron din sila. They constructed buildings, large dams, water wheels, and underground channels to tap groundwater. And in 850, the House of Wisdom, yung the largest library, the Banu Musa brothers wrote the book the Book of Ingenious Devices. So it is a compendium of 100 devices and how to use them. Includes the earliest programmable machines, an instrument that plays by itself. So, sa House of Wisdom, diba, it's also a library, it's a school, um, it's an amazing place, no, to study or to dwell with knowledge. Yung Banu Musa brothers, nagsulat sila ng libro na Book of Ingenious Devices. Dito sa Book of Ingenious Devices, merong 100 machines silang ginawa. They drew a machine and then explained these machines. What's amazing with these machines is that they are programmable. Ibig sabihin, pwede silang gumalaw mag-isa. They are automated. They are medieval automated machines. Okay? So, ngayon, 'di ba, we are in the 21st century, we are dealing with automation. But the Middle East civilization started automation at around 850 AD. Of course, medieval automaton, this was further developed by Diarbarik into in 12 1206 sa Diyarbakir, Turkey, si Al-Jazari, isang mathematician, ay may mas magandang ginawang libro kaysa sa Banu Musa Brothers. Yung Banu Musa Brothers kasi nagsulat sila ng mga devices or mga machines at kasama lang doon yung mga may ilan lang doon na mga programmable machines. Pero dito sa ah, libro ni Al-Jazari na mas pina-upgrade niya or volume 2 ng libro ni na Banu Musa, he wrote, this book is called The Book of Knowledge of Ingenious Mechanical Devices. So dito, no, he introduced medieval automatons or programmable or automated machines. Dito gumawa siya ng water mill. Nakalagay dito sa librong to yung water mill, giant water clock. Meron siyang elephant castle-shaped clock, may fountain, may candle clock, musical automata, at saka water flute. Pero ang pinaka-notable contribution niya is again the programmable devices for music, household, and many more. Yung mga example of a programmable device that we have right before is the radio, DVD player, the cell phone that we have. These are programmable devices na anong gusto mong patugtugin, di ba? So that started with him. Kung ano the concept of programming devices or programming machines started with the based on records started with the Middle East civilization. So that's where it all started. So this is an example of his works. This one, yung nasa kaliwa, itong isa, this is a programmable boat, no? So bangka, tapos they are moving, which is just program lang siya. And then this one is a clock. It is a clock, alarm clock, no? Kasi imagine may alarm clock sila before, pero yung alarm clock nila is more on water dripping. Parang pag ganitong oras, ganito nakadami yung tubig. Ganun. So, Middle East civilization also contributed in the health sciences. They did not only contribute on engineering with the programmable ingenious machines, no? They also contributed in health sciences. Still, during the time of the Middle Eastern civilization, largely contributed by the House of Wisdom. During the 854 AD, 54 AD, a Persian polymath called named Abu Bakr al-Razi wrote dozens of books detailing accounts of his work. He is a major contributor in medieval field of psychology and ophthalmology. He was the first to identify smallpox and measles, and most of his medical works are based on Greek humoral medicine and natural philosophy. So they did not only contribute on engineering, they also contributed on health sciences, on doctors, no? As mentioned, Abu Bakr al-Razi identified smallpox, measles, at yung mga works niya is based on Greek Greek humoral medicine. So what can we infer from that? Walang masama sa pakikipag-collaborate o paghingi ng tulong mula sa ibang sibilisasyon. No? He just contextualized it in their context. And sinulat niya din yung Al-Hawi Al-Kabir. Al-Hawi Al-Kabir is known as The Virtuous Life. Itong The Virtuous Life na libro niya ay isa sa pinakamalaking influential medical encyclopedia, and also wrote Islamic medicine. Al-Tib al-Nabawi advocated traditional medical practices mentioned in the Quran. Again, advocated the traditional medical practices mentioned in the Quran. Ibig sabihin, ibig sabihin, yung mga medical practices na ginawa niya or ginagamit niya is also based on their faith or based on their belief. And it does not violate anything in their belief system. So I think it's something that we should again reflect on na if you have this faith, ito bang medical practice na to, is this against your faith? They did it. Nagawa yun ng mga Middle Eastern mathematicians, Middle Eastern physicians, Middle Eastern doctors. No? And that's Abu Bakr al-Razi. So ito, tandaan po yung mga libro niya, Al-Hawi Al-Kabir, called The Virtuous Life, at saka yung Al-Tib al-Nabawi. Okay, so these books are very important medical encyclopedias during the ancient Middle Eastern civilization. Pero ang pinaka canon of medicine, ang pinakasikat na best-selling medical book during that time ay tinatawag na Al-Qanun fi al-Tib. Al-Qanun fi al-Tib, or known as the Canon of Medicine. Ang nagsulat nito ay si Ibn Sina. Ibn Sina, also referred as Avicenna. Avicenna or Ibn Sina. He is a Persian polymath in 980 AD. He is also a physician, a doctor during the time. So he mashed up different books from famous physicians and made notes of his own, which helped the readers in easily understanding it. It is important to note in learning medical science to participate in scientific wonder called scholasticism, or learning through close reading of approved texts that recorded the observations and theories of earlier thinkers. What does that mean? Si Ibn Sina, kumuha siya ng mga iba't ibang medical books or physician books sa iba't ibang kultura, from the Greeks, from the Persians, even from uh, from Abu Bakr al-Razi. Okay, kumuha siya ng mga ideas na to, and then he transcribed his writings. He transcribed his writings, binasa niya to, nagsulat siya ng sarili niyang notes, at ginawa niyang sarili niyang libro. Anong nagagawa nito? Anong nagagawa ng pag-rewrite? Anong nagagawa ng pag-unawa doon sa ginawang libro, tapos isusulat mo ulit? Ibig sabihin, you are translating your own understanding, which makes it easier. Kaya, yung mga nag-gather niya na information mula sa iba't ibang physicians, mula sa iba't ibang culture, he translated this into his own understanding, kaya mas madaling maintindihan. Ang maganda kapag nagbabasa ka, yung nabanggit dito na scholasticism, close reading of the approved text by the earlier thinkers, yung mga nagawa na nila, ang gagawin mo na lang, you're going to affirm it or confirm the valuability of the knowledge that they have generated. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo na kailangan gumawa ng sarili mong knowledge. Kailangan mo na lang i-approve kung tama nga ba or totoo nga ba yung naging results ng data nila. And ganun yung ginawa ni Avicenna. So, The canon of medicine is the book of a little bit of everything in the medical science. As I have said, galing siya sa iba't ibang kultura, from collected accounts of Aristotle, Hippocrates, and many more. So take note of that. The canon of medicine, sinulat ni Avicenna o ni Evansina. Okay? That is the number one or best-selling book during their time sa uh, Middle Eastern civilization. Okay. The Middle East civilization has a very rich culture of knowledge, hundreds of collections of knowledge and accounts. It has become the urban center of trade and knowledge exchange populated by natural philosophers with a keen desire to build upon the earlier insights. Nung binuksan ng mga caliphates ang House of Wisdom, and it was open to different civilization, different cultures. This became trending. Naging trending ito sa iba't ibang philosophers mula sa iba't ibang lugar. Kaya sila nagpuntahan, nagdayuhan yung ibang knowledge, hindi hindi na kinailangang pumunta ng mga scholars ng Middle East doon sa lugar na yun, kundi naglapitan yung mga knowledge na to, and they are also willing to share their knowledge. Remember, walang magagawa ang pagdadamot. Okay? Walang nagagawa ang pagdadamot ng karunungan at kaalaman, kagaya na napag-usapan natin o natalakay natin before, that a knowledge shared grows and the knowledge kept dies. So, it's something to reflect on, to consider on what the ancient Middle Eastern civilization did when they opened knowledge to everyone. They made the world even smaller kasi doon mo makikita na may mga cross-cultural compatibilities pala. Ibig sabihin, may mga practices itong kultura na to at practices itong kultura na to na ginagawa. Okay? Na parehas din pala sila ng ginagawa. And then that affirms or confirms the effectivity of the scientific practices. So lesson spotlight natin ngayon, the Middle East intellectual revolution has revolutionized mathematics, astronomy, medicinal science, and engineering. Up to date, no? Their sophistication to the field is very evident. The colorful science and technology paired with the rich culture and religion revolutionized the way we view science and arts. So, the Middle Eastern civilization has contributed a lot in the field of science and technology hanggang sa kasalukuyan. And I hope, no, um, of course, the Middle Eastern civilization are somehow viewed in a different perspective by other people. But let us also consider that the Middle Eastern civilization has actually contributed a lot in the field of science and technology before, and as of now, they are still contributing it. Okay? Again, it's driven by their faith, by the religion, and driven by their love for knowledge and science and technology. Okay? So that is the ancient Middle Eastern civilization. They have revolutionized a lot of forms of knowledge, and we are of course very thankful to their civilization. Yung mga nauna nating discussions na civilizations, the reason why we discussed it is because it's something to consider, it's something to reflect on. Ano nga bang ginawa ng mga civilizations nila? Why did their civilization rise? How did they rise? And how did they fail? And how did some of these civilizations did not survive until today? Their strong civilizations became weak. Example, we have the Babylonian Empire, a very strong empire, but it died out. Pero ang Egypt, it's a very powerful empire ng hina, although ngayon, it still exists. Because culture and tradition and society changes, no? And of course, this is driven by different aspects or different, this is brought about by different aspects. But majorly, this is also because of the influence of science and technology on how do this culture, how did the uh, Mesoamerican, how did the African, how did the Middle Eastern civilization use science and technology? Was it good or was it for evil? Was it just or was it not? Was it for themselves or was it for the world to know? So, it's something to reflect on. So, na-discuss na natin ang tatlong civilizations. So, we'll be leading to the last civilization next topic. Again, should you have any questions or clarifications, please feel free to comment at the comment section and you may email me. Again, this is JD saying thank you. Bye.